Welcome back to Small Caps, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Kerry Stevenson, and I've asked Michael Hudson, Managing Director of Southern Cross Gold. ASX code is SXG. Their project, Sunday Creek Project in Victoria, the renaissance of the Victorian goldfields, has just come out today, which is why I've asked Michael to come on, with an exceptional intersection of gold antimony at their Sunday Creek Project. I don't want to take the whatever away from you, Michael. Good to see you. Thanks for joining me here on Small Caps today.
Gary, thanks for always being there in such a timely way.
Well, it is timely today. Just before we get into it, brief overview, Sunday Creek Project, where is it? How big is it? What are you doing right now? And then we'll get into today's announcement.
Yeah, Sunday Creek is a gold antimony project in the Victorian goldfields. I think I can hand on heart say it's the best discovery outside the current mines in Victoria, of which we have two of the highest grade top 10 gold mines in the world. So it's in a great jurisdiction. We've been exploring it for 2 years now. We put the first drill rig there 2 years ago. We put about 15 kilometres into it, and it continues to deliver, and we'll get into some of the results. We drilled out over 1 kilometre down to 400 metres. The system's growing, multiple chutes, and it's open for 10 kilometres over a larger system with old mines that haven't seen any drill holes. So a lot to do.
A lot to do. I just want to pick up on what you just said. Old mines have been there before, and because it's only about an hour north of Melbourne, from what I understand, are there any issues with getting back into the mining around that area?
It's a really good question. When I first saw the project on a map, I thought, no, that looks close, but you've really, like any project, got to get into the detail of what it means. It straddles partly the tenement, the Hume Highway, which is, of course, the major road through Eastern Australia here, and on the western side of the highway, it's cottage farms and people who commute an hour into town, so it would be very difficult. On the eastern side, and we're sort of 5 kilometres, 10 kilometres to the east, it's traditional farming and state forests, which are used for hunting and motorbike riding and the like. So it's actually okay. We have bought the freehold land. We bought 320 acres of the freehold just to ensure access. We're the best landholder for ourselves, and it just gives us a whole lot of flexibility going forward. But of course, Victoria is pretty close in many respects compared to Western Australia to lots of communities. So you've got to work with communities, and that's what we're doing. And so far so good.
I think it's important to note that 320 acres, that's yours, that's freehold. That and is some of what you're looking at, because I want to go through Golden Dyke, Rising Sun, and Apollo. Are they all within that 320 acres that you own freehold?
Yes, the main trend is within the freehold. There is a little Crown land area over the historic mining area, which is very common in Victoria. So there's a little donut in the middle, just to be specific. But yeah, absolutely, we surround it all.
Fantastic. I just wanted to clarify that before we get into today's announcement, which is that you've drilled some of the highest grade intersections, gold antimony. Talk to us about today's announcement and why it's so significant for Southern Cross Gold.
Yeah, it's a real teaser bringing it in 3 or 4 minutes into the interview. So what we've gone and done is taken a big step out. So we've taken a 350-metre step out from where we've traditionally been drilling over the last 6 months. We've been drilling at the Apollo chute, the Apollo area, and that's delivered fantastic grades and widths, and seen Southern Cross on a real roller coaster of doing so well out the gate from the IPO in May, June. So we're 350 metres away at a new prospect area called Rising Sun. So key point, big step out, and it's another chute developing. It's the single best, highest grade intersection we have on the prospect to date, which is it was 21.5 metres at 15 grams. So there's the money shot. It included 2.1 metres at 121.6. I just had to look up at the press release to make sure I got that number correctly. That's gold equivalent, but it's predominantly gold that drives those uber high grades. So a fantastic result. in a new chute, and literally that we've just put four or five intersections down to 250 meters, and this is a jewelry box, literally in that chute.
No wonder you got a smile on your dial. This is an old mine, though, isn't it, Rising Sun? But they only drilled to quite shallow. Is that right? And what you're doing is you're going deeper, and you're saying the deeper we go, the more interesting it gets.
That's right. At well, it's interesting from surface. There's the very high grade drill hole at surface in the middle of the deposit, the chute, which is 46, and even it's open. It's there's a whole big step out we took 6 months ago, and that's 21.5 meters at something like 5+ grams gold equivalent. Also, that's the deepest hole. So we're drilling under that now, and those results are pending.
So more results are coming. Has this, because you've got Golden Dyke, which is the most prolific area that you've been drilling to date, Rising Sun's come along. Has it surprised you with these results today? Because they are pretty significant.
I always say that hope is not a strategy in exploration, but it's a good part of it. So, of course, we're surprised on the upside here, without a doubt. When the core came out, and it was literally, as I say, like a shotgun had shot this little fine gold all through the core. So we knew it was something special when we saw it, and of course, you can never be sure until you get the assay results. But that being said, we know from historic workings that the old timers mined up to hundreds and hundreds of grams. So we've really been waiting to see those, and that's what drove the old mines. And Rising Sun was it wasn't a historic mine, but down to 45 meters. So it was hardly a significant mine. So it's a little sad that those toiling away in the 1800s left such great things beneath their feet. But it's low-hanging fruit for us and to our benefit.
Are you still doing, is your focus now on Rising Sun with these results today, or are the rigs also still going on Apollo and Golden Dyke?
The strategy has changed somewhat. So 3 or 4 months ago, we were focused on Apollo and demonstrating continuity around the big hit there, which was 119 meters at 3.9 grams gold equivalent. Now we've moved on to drilling over the 700 meters of strike. So we've got some holes coming from Apollo area where we actually have 6 chutes there already and 1 defined in detail. We're drilling in different orientations across those chutes because structurally hosted gold is as it states, it's structurally hosted, which means it can be lots of different structures, and that's what you see at Fosterville, for example, and Costerfield. It's not just one set of structures that are mineralized, so you've got to drill in different orientations to understand all those variations. So that's what we're doing at Apollo, but we've stepped out. We're drilling at Rising Sun when we're putting some of the first holes that haven't been released yet, that are pending under Golden Dyke. And remembering Golden Dyke, that we've spoken about before, at least here, was the most productive mine, was over 200 meter strike. So it was quite a restricted little area, but it went down to 180 meters, which was a very big effort in the day. It's the most productive mine across the whole 10 kilometers, and we haven't put a drill hole under it yet. And that seems a bit crazy, but it was because it was deeper, it was easier to go under the shallower mines first. And actually, most of the discoveries we've been making on the field were not the old mining areas. We found things that were unmined and untouched.
So that's interesting. Now, you've mentioned a couple of things. I want to go into Fosterville and Costerfield. Is this got a Sunday Creek project? Is it along the same sort of geological structure? Like, why is it so prolific for gold where you are? And you are not that far away, I don't think, from Costerfield and Fosterville.
In geological terms, we're next door. In geographic terms, we're close, but it's still 50 kilometers. So we're not abutting, but it's the same gold event. So it's the same fluids that manifested themselves at both Fosterville, Costerfield, Sunday Creek. There's 9 historic fields. in Victoria that were this style of gold, a very different style to what made Victoria famous. It's not the Ballarat Bendigos nuggety style of gold. That's a different geological event. That's something that we're not looking for. So we've got 3 of the 9 historic epizonal fields, which include Fosterville, Costerfield, 3 of ours, Sunday Creek, Roo, and Redcastle, and then there's only another 4 more that were mined historically. Now, I'm sure there's a lot more to find undercover, etc. But you take the low-hanging fruit, and the old timers were the best explorers, and they've defined things very well for us. And it's technologies like Lidar that we've bombarded laser beams out of the aircraft like you do with your iPhone, but at much bigger scale. And we've been able to see through the thick vegetation and where the old timers worked. And you can see everything in such detail. It's such a dramatic change for us. We can see not only pits and shafts and dumps, but you can see where air blowing. You see where they were placer mining, like little pimples down the old creeks, and you can't literally see them if you're standing on them. But at the scale of the Lidar, it works beautifully.
So that's how you're able to target so effectively, because that was one of my questions. It seems to me that Southern Cross Gold, what you're doing, you just seem to be, you either got very lucky or technology's helping you. Do you know what I mean? It seems to be very effective at the moment. So is that the Lidar technology?
The Lidar is for the regional exploration more so. So you'll see that come to play when we start stepping out into the more regional areas. I would credit the success that we're having at the moment to a number of factors. One is orientated drill core. So we're really, for the first time ever, putting orientated drill core into these systems, and they are structurally controlled.
That mean? What does that mean? Sorry, orientated drill core. You mean that you're going in a different orientation from history?
Yeah, it's obvious to me, but it sounds stupid when you ask that. When I talk, and you've asked a very obvious question. Orientated drill core basically means that we can orientate the drill core in the ground. So we take a cylinder of rock, but we don't know where that literally sits in space, because it could be 360 degrees, if you like. But we orientate that drill core. We know where the base of the drill core is. So then we know exactly how that, when we pull it out of the ground, how that core sits in the ground. So then we can measure the structures within that drill core accurately as they are reflected underground. And that means we've got a gold-bearing structure here. We know it trends in a northwest orientation, for example, because we measured it. And then we can go to the northwest and hit it again and hit it again. So orientated drill core is not a new technology per se. When I started my career 30 years ago, we used to just throw spears, literally just metal rods with a little pointy tip down the hole, and hope that hit the bottom of the core, and that would give us the orientation. Now it's all done electronically with signals and units at the top of the drill barrel, and the accuracy is very good, and we can do it every run now. So what used to be every 40 or 50 meters, and the drillers hated doing it, now we get every 3 or 4 meters. So we can literally put all the drill core together, if it's not too broken up, in its true orientation. So that's a lesson on structural geology.
Well, I always love having as I say to everybody, so long as you learn something new every day, you're going forward. I'm talking to you at the beginning of October. Where can this project go? What's the next steps? What can shareholders or people listening right now expect going forward?
So just to take a breather here, we've hit some very good drill holes. People thought we were one hole wonder. We put multiple drill holes and showing continuity. Today's release shows that we're not just a one shoot wonder. We're a multiple shoot. We're developing multiple shoots. So the system is just growing very nicely at grades that you don't really see. So our job today is to make this bigger. We're not working to drill it out in fine detail. We're working to drill it out for understanding, as we've talked about, but we need to make this bigger. So we're going to be drilling out Golden Dyke, Rising Sun, there's 5 out of the 6 shoots at Apollo that we haven't tested. So now you're thinking, my goodness, there's a 700 or 800 meters of strike down to 400 meters at least that they've got to drill out. They're going to do a lot of drilling, and yes, we do. So we need more drill rigs, and then of course we've got the 10 kilometers of that Lidar, those workings that we've identified from the Lidar. We've done lots of soils out there, and we know there's some big anomalies and old workings out there. So the only limitation is drilling, and the only limitation, I think, is getting the strategy right or wrong about how we don't want to be bulls in a china shop, but we don't want to focus too quickly. So at least this year, we're going to be we're going to try and find more rigs. The results are spectacular, and warrant more drilling to make this bigger. You may see us at some point start to take a big step out and look down towards a kilometre depth in some parts of the system, not drill it out, but take some bigger step outs just to demonstrate to ourselves and the market that the system continues at depth. And these epizonal systems, at least at Fosterville and Costerfield, below 800 metres, became those true Cinderella zones where they became uber high grade. The antimony dropped off, and we'd like to see whether that zoning happens in our project also.
Could be quite exciting. Why is the antimony? Because that's often mentioned, certainly in your announcements as well. Why is that important?
That's important. It's important geologically because it shows us where we are in the system. But critically, no pun intended, it is one of the world's most sought after critical minerals. It's literally up there on supply and demand charts, up there with rare earths. 80+% of the antimony supply chain comes out of China and Russia today. It's a defense mineral. Basically, it's used in alloying metals and making them very hard. It's used in flame retardancy. Every bit of plastic that we have wrapped around all our cords here that I see in front of me have been doped with some sort of antimony products to stop them burning. It's used in drones and laser vision, night vision goggles, and all wonder of things. And it's not a metal that you don't want to have a control of. So Victoria and this project has an ability to form a very solid base for antimony, the antimony supply chain in the Western world. And we're at the forefront really of that. So it is a very important part. The gold will pay. It's about 85 to 90% of in situ value. The antimony is the potential byproduct, but a very important one.
Does it make it more difficult and look, I know processing is way, way, way down the track, but when you've got gold antimony mixed together, does it make it harder in the end run with the process?
It's actually not like a rare earth, and everyone sort of is educated enough to know that rare earths is not about finding them, it's about processing them, and that's where the risk lies. Antimony is actually a pretty standard metal. So we'll take what looks like free gold from this deposit, gravity separate, and the rest of the gold, about half of it will be gravity separated, about half will report with the antimony into a concentrate. Today, as part of that supply chain, that those concentrates are treated in China. So there needs to be a Western world opportunity here. The Omanis built one, and then the Chinese bought all the supply to that smelter. So that's sitting there without consistent supply. That's where Victoria can play its role.
Michael, I know you've got a massively busy day ahead of you. I want to finish up now because I want people to understand. Give us 3 reasons. You know what I'm like. I like to end this way. 3 reasons why you think our beautiful audience out there should be sitting up and taking notice of Southern Cross Gold right now, especially after today's announcement.
Yeah, so a very special deposit that will be differentiated in grade in the Australian space. If you look in the Australian explorer space, where the resources are not developers but explorers, there's only 2 projects that exceed 3 grams. Only 2 in the top 20. So that's one way that we'll really be able to distinguish ourselves. Grade is a forgiver of many sins. In terms of scale, there's only 4 projects in Australian explorers with Australian projects that are above 2 million ounces. This we haven't got a resource here, but it's got the scale to become quite large if it continues to work. So we need to put the drill rigs there and all caveat emptor, but that we can really distinguish ourselves with grade, with a project of scale. And then I think you touched on it before, we're having wonderful success, and that's a function of a very good deposit, but also people who know what they're doing and how to find gold.
People that know what they're doing and how to find gold. And boy, are they finding it, ladies and gentlemen. The ASX code, as I said before, is SXG. Southern Cross Gold, latest announcement out today. As I said before, the highest grade intersection of gold antimony at their Sunday Creek project. Michael Hudson, Managing Director, thanks so much for joining me on Small Caps today.
Kerry, you're wonderful. Lovely to be back with you. Take care.